all types, but there's one that we most focus. So if she's a moon in Libra, that's going to be, and you're going to get the keywords in a minute when she gets back up. This is Libra. This has to do with marriage, relationships, peace, people pleasing, diplomat. So you ask your mom, Mom, what happened when you were pregnant with me that you had to people please? Maybe, an example, vinieron una tía. Some aunts come and they stay with your mom. And now she has to be the hostess. And now she has to, preparar la cama. She's got to make a home for them because this is the homemaker, like you got as your goddess. The goddess is directly linked to your moon. So that's another way to see. It'll be interesting to see what she gets because her moon's in Aquarius. So ask your mom what she had to do. Maybe she had to be the peacemaker between your dad and his sister, or her and her mom, or whatever. There has to be a story there because she is responding externally and the child says, oh my God, this is love, ding, 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 ding. And it becomes the way that the child wants to be loved. So what are the 5 love languages, Chi-Chi?
Words of affirmation,
Hold
gifting.
Words of affirmation?
Yes, words of affirmation, gifting, action.
How do you know all this?
Because I took the class and read the book.
Gifting? Action?
I actually put emphasis in it and.
Did you find it helpful?
No, it was very helpful, but at the same time,
It's directly linked
it's only
to the
helpful
moons.
if both parties are involved.
Okay, listen to what James said. It's only helpful if both parties are involved. Yes and no. Yes, because you're in relationship to the other person and you want to have this marriage. You want to have the I and the we.
So, words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, quality time, and physical touch.
Wait, service is quality time?
No. Acts of
Action
service.
is quality time?
Acts of service is the action, sorry. So the action, erase that and put acts of service.
Quality time.
And then, or, let me see, words of affirmation, or you only have 4. And then the 5th one is physical touch.
Okay. So in astrology, physical touch would be Taurus, moon in Taurus and moon in Cancer. I'm having that. Okay. Words of affirmation would be moon in Gemini. Gifting would be moon in Taurus, would be moon in Capricorn. Service would be moon in Virgo. What were you when you took the class? What was your love language?
Oh, mine's were gifting and definitely acts of service were the main 2.
Okay.
And then definitely physical touch.
Okay. Quality time, I think would be like a moon in Leo, Scorpio. I mean, if I went down the zodiac, I would be able to probably give each one. This is probably Sag. So depending on the service would definitely be an Aquarius moon. There's a lot of layers to each sign. So this is based on this. What did you know, or what do you know about your pregnancy? Did your mom have
She had me late, like later in her life.
Later in life, okay, what else?
I was her last shot at a boy.
Oh, she had girls?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was just one girl, but she just really wanted a boy, and for whatever reason, like she just knew that my dad was gonna get a boy, so it's like, this is gonna happen.
Isn't it interesting that he said he identifies more with the feminine, yet the mom wanted a boy and you're a boy physically?
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting thing where you balance that.
I was raised by just women, besides like minus my grandfather in that situation, but once he was out, it was like just nothing but women in my house.
What was the service? Because you have a moon in Virgo. Moon in Virgo is service oriented, touch because it's an earth sign, and you said that those were your top two.
The top two is gifting and well, probably, it's hard.
Touch
Like,
and gifting are earth qualities.
Yeah, I get it.
So we could define it by elements, we could define it by different signs, so it's not an exact science, but more or less you can place those. But what was the service quality that your mom did when she was pregnant with you? So when you were over in the other room, I was saying that your
Constantly
pregnancy.
doing everything for my dad.
Oh, okay.
That was the service to, like that was on a constant basis for him.
And this is what he wanted?
Yeah.
No judgment there whatsoever. Yeah. Okay. How does that reflect in you and you giving love? Do you want to do things for others?
0 to 100.
You either do it all or you do nothing? Okay.
Pretty much.
So with your sign, and you can, Mr. Pachi gave you the handout, look up your sign. And Chichi, you could do that astrolab too, and just put in your information, and your sun, your moon sign will come out. So let's go through a few of them. Moon in Aries. Moon in Aries is a war sign. That is going to cause anxiety. That's going to cause people that are nervous. That's going to cause people that like to fight. Okay? So if you're one of those people that like to fight, pick fights and then you're going to have makeup sex, that's not a surprise thing. Because the opposite sign of Libra is Aries. So your shadow, the shadow to your moon has an impact. And in her case, it's Aries. I don't know what is wrong with me today that I am like, oh, here, forgetting. Chemo brain. Blame everything. So the shadow of her Libra, bless you, is the Aries. And you can see that on your chart. The opposite of yours is Pisces. So you have to have a shadow to the Virgo. A Pisces moon is one that's very service oriented, but it's also martyr, victim, poor me, and you're a Pisces sun already, so you already have that. So the shadow of the moon is also important. So she might fight in order to get the moon in Aries and the moon in Libra. I might be a moon in Capricorn, cold, or purchase things, that was my pattern, in order to get the love or the child or the mother that I want in my moon in Cancer. So oftentimes we will do the opposite behavior, like James said, 0 to 100, so that we can try to get the love language that we want. Okay? So people who tend to fight a lot, cause fights or get anxiety, tend to be moon in Aries. Moon in Taurus. Moon in Taurus people are the hardest people to change. They're the most stubborn, and they love gifts. They love touch. The mom usually held the baby a lot, was doing everything with the baby, so the baby's very used to having touch and physical warmth. So what do? They like to buy you gifts. One of my best friends is a moon in Taurus. Chick is broke. We'll go out to lunch, and she'll take out her credit card. I'm like, what are you doing? You don't have a freaking penny. No, I'll figure it out. And I'll tell her, because she knows astrology, I'm like, that's your moon in Taurus. What are you doing? You don't have money. But it's that thing of, I'm going to show you how I love you through the gifts. okay? Also, people that have Taurus or the opposite sign, which is Scorpio, they'll be very attached to the home, real estate, things like that. So if they're very attached, like I have moved so many times in my life, it's ridiculous. Yeah, my home is important, but I don't have that attachment the way that my girlfriend has. When she had to move, it was, oh my God, it was like you thought you were, pulling teeth out of her. Where I'm like, okay, it's time to move, let's go.
I love moving, but that's because I grew up moving.
Okay, but you love moving because your shadow is Aries. And Aries is a constant movement. It's the anxiety, it's the go, 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 it's the war. I have to sleep with one eye open, I don't know where I'm gonna be. So the shadow of the moon is just as important as the actual moon sign itself. So for you, Aries, Libra is gonna be super important. For Aniela, Aquarius, Leo, it's gonna be very important. And one of the things that makes her feel safe is that she's first in the class, that she graduates early, that she reaches her goals. That's a very Leo. And she was raised by her strong mom, or a woman. You're Virgo, I was gonna say, because people that are raised by strong women are oftentimes Leo moons. Gemini.
I already said that they're strong, I just said they were all women.
Or all women, okay, so then that's, well, that would make sense with the Virgo. And were they all pretending to be virgins?
Yeah.
Healthy, loving?
Half of them anyway.
Okay, that's the Virgo. Moon in Gemini. Words of affirmation. Talking, teaching, preaching, lecturing, lessons. Oh my God, my mother has a moon in Gemini. My mother would give my sister a 4-hour lecture, standing up, repeating the same thing. My girlfriend and I would walk in the house, leave the house. Come in from playing, go outside. Come back in to get lemonade, come outside. And my mother would continue with the freaking lecture. Oh my God. Absolutely crazy. The other thing with moon in Gemini, this is a very interesting moon. They have to have 2 of things. They're reading 2 books, they're dating 2 men, they have to have 2 houses, they have 2. Because Gemini is the sign of duality. Remember I told you about duality? So a Gemini moon is a very difficult moon. This is also a moon where they're very concerned with their brothers and their sisters or their cousins. So they grew up with a lot of siblings, or they grew up with a lot of cousins in the house. So a big sort of family, aunts and uncles, that kind of stuff. So, let's say did you guys ever see Big Fat Greek Wedding? Okay. Big Fat Greek Wedding
So funny.
is this American guy who has a mother and a father. And they're quiet, and they eat dinner with little music, and they're calm. And she's like a big Greek, and the hundreds of cousins and aunts and uncles. And so the Big Fat Greek Wedding was all of her family, and him, his mom, and his dad. It's hysterical. I highly recommend it. The second one isn't as funny, but the first one is really funny, my Big Fat Greek Wedding. So, it's kind of like that. Let's say you marry someone, or you're dating someone who has such a big Cuban family or Greek family or something like that, and you come from silence and quiet. That might be, you might love it. You might say, oh, this is great. I love all this family meddling. Or you might be like, oh, this is too much. The 0 to 100. But those people tend to have a lot of in and outs of cousins and aunts and uncles and things like that. Moon in Cancer, run. I have that. Run! Or be like Mr. Pachi and be my mom. Moon in Cancer, we are looking for a mom, or we're looking to be a mom. It is the nurturer. It's the one that wants to nurture or be nurtured. I want to be fed, I want to be looked after, I want to be taken care of, I'm like a little baby. Or you want to be that. That's the Demeter, and you got Demeter.
I just did my mom and she got that,
Demeter?
the moon in Cancer.
Okay.
And it makes some sense.
But your mom, I feel, and I could be wrong, is more of you take care of your mom than your mom takes care of you.
I don't have I would say, a good relationship with my mom, but she always tries to take care of everybody else. I feel like,
Everybody else.
yeah, I feel like
Oh, and
And
I want
she
to
knows
finish
this.
hearing the story of the.
she knows this, the stroller, she knows this. She stopped taking care of me because she saw since I was little how independent and tranquilita I was.
That's why I
That-
say,
yeah, that
instead of
she
being
just-
the mom to you, she substituted to be the mom to others, leaving you to either take care of yourself, which is never good because then who's meeting your needs? Or you learn to want someone else to meet your needs. Very Moon in Libra, because you're looking for the perfect partner to make you whole, to complete you. Or you're the one that takes care of her because you figured, well, she's not taking care of me. There's a Moon in Cancer requiring you to take care of her.
I took care of her when she gets drunk.
Okay.
But
Because
other than
that's
that,
why-
she takes care, like, her entire life, her priority is taking care of her parents. So she
Right.
always feels like, I need to send them money, I need to make sure that they're okay, she calls every day,
But
she's
you
on
took
top
care
of
of the
them.
kid.
Yeah.
So the kid felt that her needs weren't met. So she's a great child,
She's a great daughter.
but where's the mom? I was a great mom to my mom, but I royally screwed up with my kids until just a few years ago.
She knows that, well, thank God that she, like, realizes that.
And I finally put everyone in their place. Now my kids are my kids and my mom is my mom. So my mom can take care of herself, or my mom has to take care of me, but I will take care of my kids. We all have that mismatch that I told you before. So if you're here and you're not doing that, and you're taking care of dad and you're the wife, well then who's doing you? So this is all gets screwed up. Everybody has to be in their place. So finish the story of the coche.
Okay, so I was little, my mom got me this pink stroller, it was for babies.
Did you have a doll?
No, I was really poor, so I didn't have a doll. So I was just playing with, like I said, I was such a good child. You would give me this and I would play with this all day. And so she gave me the stroller and I was, playing with it back and forward, that was it. And the kid in front, she comes over and she's like, oh, I want to play too. And again, I'm so attached with my stuff and my stuff has to be perfect, not a scratch on it. So I was like, okay, but you can play here. But this baby was completely opposite to me and she wanted to take it to her house and play with it. And I was like, no, I just got it. If you want to play with it, you got to play
How old
here.
are you?
Around 4 or 5, maybe.
0 to 7. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
And this baby was actually younger than me, like a couple of years younger than me. So she was really little, so she wouldn't understand that I wanted her to play here in my house. So she went to my mom crying, saying that I wouldn't let her play with my toy. My mom came, she took the stroller and she smashed it.
Oh my gosh.
She said, if you're not gonna share it, you're not gonna play with it either. So the same day, like I'm telling you, 10 minutes.
Wow.
And to this day, that hurts me.
Of course. What a trauma. That's her trauma.
Wow.
So the third step of the subconscious is what happens during birth. And that you see with the ascendant. We're not talking about that today. And then the fourth stage of the subconscious is the 0 to 7. What trauma we have for 0 to 7 years old. Libra is the sign of sharing. Coincidence? I think not. And there are certain things you don't share. Wow, I'm so sorry.
My dad, when he found out, he went and he asked his friends for money to buy me another one. But there were only blue ones. So I never get to have my pink stroller. So to this day, I cry about it.
I would go out and buy myself a pink stroller right
Go
now.
right now to Amazon
Exactly.
and buy that sucker.
And buy
If
it
you're
now.
a little child and buy
right.
yourself a doll.
And
Your
you-
inner child
and you-
needs to get that back.
That's right.
But
Keep it-
notice the significance of the color. Nothing is an accident. First of all, blue is a fifth chakra. She's outspoken. She's very verbal. She's new to our group. She's feels like she's been here since April, at least since I've been here, right? And her father is the savior. The masculine traits that she said at the beginning, because the father has been the one. It'd be interesting what sign moon your dad has.
Scorpio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's a strong
birthday's
one.
next week, yeah.
No, his birthday, that's the sun, but his moon.
Oh, I'll do it.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see what his love language is. But she has the masculine trait, she has the blue, she has this dad that she has on a pedestal. Of course, it's gonna be difficult for you to assume a role of
Mm.
I mean, and then you have that thing of pink.
Yeah.
That isn't an accident. Nothing is an accident. It's all a message. But I'm in agreement with Mr. Paji. You should be buying yourself a
I
stroller.
do buy babies though.
Buy a baby, but buy the stroller.
Buy the
And
stroller.
you know what's
Keep
so
it in your room.
interesting is, the stroller is the home. The stroller is where it's housed. So you had an issue of where you belonged. You didn't like London, and then right when you started liking London, you moved back because of your parents. You haven't had, and you said earlier, you moved a lot. The stroller is the home of the baby. Where do you belong? What's your place? You have to have issues with that. And even when we started the class, the first thing was, I'll take care of the lock and key, and my boyfriend will do the laundry. Laundry is more home, where lock and key is more of that masculine. And notice, it's symbolically, it's to leave the house. So you have an issue there of what your place is in the world.
And just to give you an idea of what it means when you hold on to certain things. When I was 6 or 7, 6 probably, I asked for a little sister, which I got at 7.
She regrets everything. Regrets everything.
I'm not sure why that was, okay. But what I got for Christmas was
I got
this doll that was really the tall ones that used to lift their arms and their legs would move. So pretending that it walked. I still have that doll. It's in my closet.
I still have baby dolls.
I still have that doll. That doll is 50 years old.
And I have my cousins had daughters and stuff, and they're more appropriate to play with those toys. And if they want to play with it, like I've learned to, okay, you can play with it, but in my house. So they have to come to my grandma's house where I have my dolls so they can play with it, and you cannot take it home. And the last time I went to Cuba, we had a problem with that because my aunt wouldn't understand that I wanted my toy back. They took it to your house, they need to bring it back. It was borrowed, it wasn't gifted to them, it was borrowed. You can give it back, put it back where it goes. Like I have everything like a little javita, so it doesn't get dust or anything like that. So seeing these kids that they don't care about shit, they start throwing things, breaking them apart. I was like, my child, no, don't touch that. So I'm like that, and I still to this day get criticized about it. And now I understand that it's okay to be like that because
Absolutely, and what you're doing is you're assuring your needs are met.
yeah.
She didn't meet your needs, now your needs are met because you need to meet your needs. That's where you get a healthy relationship. If you learn to meet your needs, you're not gonna wait for the other person to meet your needs for you. So when you say, no, that's my doll, you're absolutely taking charge of your life. And just like you did it with that, you'll do it with other things. But you were inculcada, you were brainwashed that you had to share. You're gonna share your husband?
Maybe one night, but not all the time.
But look, she wasn't like, hell no! Whereas others would be like, oh, I don't think so.
No.
It's impressive, but in my house.
You see?
In my house, you do not take the doll
I
out.
can see the porn movie now.
I know.
The stork, the guy dressed up as a stork with the baby doll in the stroller.
I went to ponytails. That's my baby.
You just have to laugh because this is how shit happens and how fetishes happen. This is what it is, people. Because we have these traumas. We have these traumas. Now, question. What do you know? Okay, your mom wanted an abortion. So someone was going to take her baby from her. The doctor was going to take the baby from her, but your dad came in to save the day. What was your grandmother's take on her being pregnant?
Like I said, my family's very old-fashioned. So obviously my mom got married. That's when they had, first time they had sex. Then about a few months later.
So you think?
No. I know my granddad. I know.
Okay.
My mom got pregnant. She was in the middle of, the doctorates and stuff that in school. My grandparents obviously were happy, but they knew that they didn't have money. My grandma, she doesn't say nothing. Whatever you want, that's how you'll do it. She's like my mom. I think she tried to be so tough and the head of the house because she's the opposite of my grandma. My grandma she's never worked a day in her life. She's all about raising the 3 children and being home, cooking, doing laundry, cleaning, and then my granddad going out there, getting the money, bringing the money home, making sure people got food. And my mom is the opposite. So my mom made the decision. My grandma would just support whatever. She didn't want it.
But your grandparents being so, do you see what I'm doing? I'm tracking back. You identify with a client a story. We make jokes or whatever, but there's a story there where the mother forced her to share. There's a trauma. To this day, as an adult, she still keeps her dolls locked up and lets her cousins play with them, but doesn't give them away because she finally is in control. So we just track back. We know that the mother was going to abort her and the dad came and saved the day, just like the dad came and saved the day with the coche, with the stroller. So we just keep going back. That's all I'm doing is just getting more and more detail of the story. So the granddad is perhaps what saves the day, but your grandparents are that old-fashioned and they allow for an abortion? Tell me about that. Isn't that a contradiction?
Oh, big time.
Big time contradiction. There's got to be a story there. What is that about?
I assume it's because they had nothing. It was like in the middle. It was 95. It was like periodo especial. There were no food, no clothes, no nothing. There weren't even milk. If like you have children and there weren't even milk to feed your kids. So it was a really tough time. So I assume they understand that at that point that it was a really good time to have kids. Now, when my dad stopped her, they were all like, oh yes, thank God. But other than that, like my mom was like, I'm gonna make the decision. It has to be done. And they were supportive. They stepped back, but they still wanted me to be born, obviously. But I guess they wanted the baby, they just didn't want it, they didn't want me to be born in that period.
Totally, and that makes perfect sense. But how does it feel to you to know that your mom was going to abort you? Do you look at it as a gift? Do you look at it as service? Or do you look at it as, damn?
I before my very dark thoughts and actions started, I used to look at it as a gift, just because I think I was like 6 to 8 months old and my mom got pregnant again, and she did have an abortion. And after that, she never got pregnant again. So